I'm Leo Ward for Kit Guru. This case is the Fractal Design Define Nano S. Nano is a bit of a tall order because it's not an especially small case, however it is mini ITX, hence the name. Define S, we've seen these cases before in this styling. They're basically an open box, you whack in your hardware, your cooling and such like, and you have a showcase for what's going on. This particular version has a windowed panel. In the UK £55, or you can have it plain sided and that'll cost you £50. The side panel on the back has noise deadening material, and if you go for the unwindowed version, both panels have that. So too does the front panel have noise deadening material. On the top we have their Modu-vent system, which clips in place and covers up all these vents, obviously keeps it quiet. That also has some noise deadening material. If you're going to install fans or a liquid cooler in the roof of the case, you want to remove that panel. If you're not installing cooling, then you will obviously want to cover it up and keep the noise to a minimum. Now, Mini ITX is a given. Beyond that, you have many options with this case. You can install a radiator at the front up to 280mm, a radiator in the roof up to 240mm. You get, as stock, a 140 front fan, a rear 120 fan. I've had to remove the 140 fan from the front to put the Kraken X61 from NZXT cooler in the front there. It fills the front, as you can see. There are, at the front we have, at the front but on the bottom covering the power supply we have this full length dust filter, and if I remove the front panel, there we go, noise deadening material, vents at the sides to allow air to flow in. There we have a magnetic dust filter that covers the full length of the front. Away it comes, easy peasy. Lots of nice features there, and those fans there therefore are the Kraken X61 cooler fans. So you get plenty of options for cooling. You can, if you choose, install your own liquid cooler using a couple of nifty little brackets supplied in the accessory box of NZXT. They're essentially bits of rail that you screw to these sorts of slats here, and you therefore put the reservoir there, and you put the pump down the bottom using this sort of multi-bay kind of affair at the bottom there. That takes a DDC or D5 type pump as stock, otherwise you're drilling holes. And then you obviously have to, thread your hosing around to suit. Now, the thing is, you can, if you choose, move that mount there, if you're not knitting your own liquid cooler, and install it on the slats at the back. And then you've got that bracket there, and you've got this bracket here, and you can install either a 2.5 or 3.5 inch drive there. You have to screw it on, it's not tool free. Similarly, this plate here, one thumb screw away it comes, and you can mount a couple of drives. I've got this OCZ Vector 180 SSD there, again screwed in place, not tool free, but no hardship to put on there. So you can have two SSDs or 2.5 drives there, and then two 2.5, 3.5 drives there. Now the thing is, if you put your 3.5 drives there, if that's the way you're going, big storage, you are going to be taking up the obvious place for cable management. Quite clearly, if you've got two hard drives here, this cabling is not going to have a place to go. You're going to have to find another place to hide it away. Not impossible, but not especially neat and tidy. You will note there is no power supply cover, so our Seasonic 520 watt fanless platinum power supply at the bottom is fully exposed. It's a decent looking power supply, this is not a problem, but if you're into hiding things like that away, you might not be mad keen on the idea. Options, although you can put a 280 at the front, 240 in the roof, yada yada, it sounds like you can put anything you like anywhere. It's not quite like that. This GTX 980 graphics card is a reference card 11 inches long. This Asus R9 390 Strix gaming graphics card is a big one. I mean, obviously, it's 12 inches long, I believe. It is not going to go in there with that liquid cooler at the front. If you didn't have a liquid cooler there, you could put it in. So you can put, within reason, any graphics card in the system, but you cannot put any graphics card in with any cooling. This is an important, I feel, point to make. Similarly, in the roof of the case above the motherboard, now I've got there an Asus Z170 Pro Gaming Mini ITX motherboard with a Core i7-6700K and some DDR4 from Corsair. All goes in beautifully. But above the board, below the roof of the case, it's reasonably tight for space. However, it's not a problem, and the reason is because it's a conventional motherboard. Were I, however, using this Asus Z87i Pro motherboard, which is a 4th gen Intel board with this huge great VRM riser, we've seen similar things on a number of Asus boards, it seems to be an Asus thing, that isn't going to go in there and clear the cooling if you wanted to put cooling in the roof. You're using this motherboard, you're not using cooling in the roof. I don't consider that to be a problem, but it does take us back to the Fantex P400 review I did recently, where people were saying, oh, cooler in the front, cooler in the roof, why any fans in the roof? This is the reason. This roof of this case is slotted exactly as a number of KitGuru readers requested that other case to be slotted. You can indeed put a cooler in, no problem, but it is not a case of any cooler in any circumstances. If you're using tall memory, for example, it's going to be a little bit awkward. That's just a fact. So although you can put a radiator on the roof, you can put a radiator on the roof and a radiator in the front, two radiators simultaneously if you choose. I would say this would not be a good idea, but you could do it. I would strongly recommend you think radiator in the front, in which case your graphics card is likely slightly limited. I mean, GTX 90 is not exactly a problem, is it? The roof, think again. Theoretically, yeah, I'm not so sure. It works well, does this case, once you get over the limitations of what length of power supply and what kind of cooling you use. And in terms of cooling and such, like the Core i7-6700K, when it was being thrashed within an inch of its life, 57 degrees under load. GPU 76, which is entirely conventional. 70 anything in below 80 is absolutely fine. CPU temperature below 60, we're happy. I mean, sometimes you get lower than that, that's fine. This, good, happy. But really, really quiet. Absolutely quiet, and that's despite the fact it's a windowed side panel rather than a noise deadening material plain panel. So that noise deadening material and the way that the air is routed through the front and so on, absolutely top notch. This does, however, bring us on to a fundamental thing. This case is mini ITX. It's, however, not a tiny case. Now, if your case is absolutely minuscule mini ITX, you can't argue with that. Of course you can't. In this case, however, you consider this motherboard, you've got one graphics slot, you've got two memory slots. So you can build a decent gaming PC without a shadow of a doubt, but your storage options are relatively limited because you're talking SATA SSD or indeed hard drive. Whereas if you, for example, have a micro ATX motherboard, there you've got an M.2. And you've got a second PCI Express slot, which gives you the option of installing either a second graphics card or a PCI Express SSD. Now, the thing with mini ITX is you can get some very good mini ITX hardware. KitGuru, we absolutely adore the ASRock X99E ITX. It's a Core i7 5 series, absolutely blazing bit of hardware, but you're limited on your memory, you're limited on your storage. If you want an upgrade path, I would say mini ITX has a big question mark over it. If, on the other hand, you want to build yourself a compact, but not necessarily tiny PC, you want high-end hardware in there, you are okay for storage, you don't need to have the absolute fastest storage on the market, you want it to be quiet, all those good things. I mean, this case does that. The upgrade path is not necessarily open to you, that's just a fact of life. But in the great scheme of things, the Fractal design defined Nano S, it does a good job, the build was straightforward, it's so quiet, it's absolutely a dream. If you're not fussed about PCI Express storage, why the heck not? That's what I say. I'm Leo Walder for KitGuru.